Good evening, welcome to the Goffstown Planning Board. This is a regular scheduled meeting, the second one of the month of October, and we will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Brian, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Brian. Approval and corrections of the minutes of September the 26th. And I see we have October 10th minutes on the table, so we can decide whether we're going to deal with them this evening. We'll start with September 26th.
Motion to approve. Second.
Is there any discussion on the motion to approve the minutes of September 26th as presented?
Mr. Chair, with absent of one member, will I be voting?
Yes, Dave, I didn't realize it. We're missing Richard. So David will be voting this evening.
Yeah,
Phil?
I do have a question on the minutes, though. I made the motion to approve to get them on the table, and I don't know if anybody has a recollection of it, but I thought that there was a mention that one of the abutters was left off the list. There was a project that,
No, they were not direct abutters, and we explained to them.
the one that was left off?
The
No,
person-
not somebody that was here.
The direct abutter stated that other people in the neighborhood were not notified, and we stated that they were not direct abutters, if I'm not mistaken. So
I
no.
thought I remembered the recollection that it was brought up that there was one abutter that was left off the list. I didn't
That would be
see,
an incomplete application then.
well, I didn't see it in the minutes, and I just wanted to bring it up that I don't see it in the minutes, and I'm not sure if that's the one, so I was gonna ask if the planning director could just check. Because I believe it was brought up that one application, it was brought up by the applicant that one abutter was left off of the list.
Well, I wrote down the three names of the people that spoke, and they were all direct abutters.
Right, it wasn't a person that spoke. But I just wanted it in the record that I questioned.
Well, then we're not going to approve the minutes until it's corrected, if it needs to be corrected. There's no point in making a motion to approve minutes if they're incorrect, because then we have to have another motion to correct the correction. So I say we hold off on approving the minutes until...
And I would withdraw my motion.
Okay. So we have a motion on the table that's been made and seconded to approve the minutes as presented. All those in favor say aye.
It was withdrawn.
Yeah, it's withdrawn.
Phil just said he
I thought you wanted me to
withdrew it.
withdraw. We said we weren't
Oh,
gonna.
I thought you were withdrawing your statement that the other people weren't here.
No.
Fine. The
You
motion's
said we
been
weren't
withdrawn.
gonna
There is no
vote on
motion.
them, so I withdrew.
There is no motion, there's no minutes for 10 Do you want to act on 10, or do you want to wait till everybody has a chance to read them since they're on the table tonight?
Why don't we wait till we look at them?
Okay?
Even if we take a minute at the end of the meeting, rather than do it now.
All right. Copy of revised meeting schedule with important SB2 dates is included in your packet tonight. Joanne, could you explain the email from David Brown? It's pretty simple.
Yes, David Brown sent an email that he was resigning as an alternate member because he had recently got a part-time job and it's on Thursday nights.
Motion to accept with regret. And thank him for volunteering. And thanks for volunteering.
Barbara's made a motion to accept the
Second.
resignation. Bill seconded it. Anybody want to discuss the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, abstention. Motion passes. Request to continue map 18, lot 42, the Lever Community Center to November 14th. Action needed. Do we need a motion for that, Joanne?
Yes.
All right, so if anyone's here for map 18, lot 42, which is the Lever Community Center, which is down on the corner of Preston Street. There will not be heard this evening, that application.
Motion to continue as requested.
Second.
To what date? November the 14th.
14.
Have they already granted a waiver of the 65 days?
Yeah.
Motion by Barbara, seconded by Brian. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Abstentions? Motion passed. Joanne, we have, before we go on to business, we have a resubmitted plan of some kind, Joanne, please? For the Orchard Hill?
Do you want to do that one, or?
Well, just tell, so members know, never mind, forget it. You said you were gonna talk about, it's usually the
Oh,
things,
we
it's
can talk
usually
about it
things
when
we
we get
talk
to
about.
it.
All right, we'll talk when we get to it. Old business, Joanne,
Okay.
is the one we just continued.
We have an old business on 72 North Mass Street, owned by Nicholas Key. So you've seen this application a few times now.
This is new business, right, or old business?
Well, it's new business because it's something new on the property, but first they had come in for a fourplex, and then they changed it to a two-family, and then they had to come back to demolish the garage, and now they're back for a waiver for the driveway regulations. The
Okay.
driveway regulations on two families and above require NFPA standards that they meet. And in this case, the driveway is only 53 feet, not the driveway, I'm sorry, the house is only 53 feet from the road. And there's really no room to put a turnaround, and most likely the fire truck would never go into the driveway. It would park at the street because it's so close. The fire department had no issues with this request, and it's just the waiver that you would be voting on.
Okay, we need a motion to continue at this point.
No, we need
No.
a motion to, I make a
Not
motion,
to continue.
To find its complete,
and
Yeah.
no regional impact.
Second.
no waivers, Joanne? This is a.
It's a waiver.
It is a waiver.
Okay. So there's a motion by Barbara, second by Brian, to find this application is complete, ready to review with no regional impact. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, abstention, motion passes. All right, so we'll ask for the applicant to come up and make a presentation at this time.
Good evening, John Roque with Roque Consulting. We're here this evening asking for a waiver for not having to put in basically a full hammer, it's almost like a hammerhead turnaround for a duplex. It's something that came up when we applied for the driveway permit for the site. It was something that was flagged in the review. I don't know if it's just in this zone or duplexes in general in the town.
It's duplexes
But,
in general.
okay, so basically our house is only 50 feet off the road, and we have garages, like it's garages on each side. So literally, as soon as you come into the property, a fire truck, if it was trying to pull into the property, would be sitting almost right up against the garage doors, just to even get into the property. And there's really no feasible way other than moving the house way back and basically paving the entire front yard to do this, so. I talked with Scott, and I think this has been something that has been granted before on other projects where it's similar situations. So we made the application to ask for the waiver from you guys.
Thank you. Questions from board members for the applicant?
I have one question.
Bill?
On the information that we have about fire comments, it says comments should be received prior to the planning board meeting. I'm assuming that what you presented was from the fire department?
Yes, I spoke with the chief because he had been on vacation, and I wasn't able to get his comments by the time this went out. But I did speak with him when he came back and said he was all set with that.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else have questions for the applicant? I'm going to open the public hearing at this time. Does anybody here wish to speak regarding map 37, not 13-1's request for a waiver for the driveway requirement for the NFPA? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Questions for the applicant from staff or from planning board members? Seeing none, let's have a motion then.
So, Mr. Chair, with findings of fact that the waiver request meets the requirements of the zoning ordinance and development regulations, and because the proposed duplex is approximately 53 feet from North Mast Road, which is a small distance to require turnaround, I would make a motion to approve the waiver as requested.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it. Can you add something to that?
Sure.
Also on the findings of fact that the fire chief.
Yeah, and, yeah, findings of fact that the fire chief was okay with the waiver being granted.
Commented to it. You, so,
Oh,
you're going
I'm
to add that to
amending
your
that,
original motion?
adding that to my findings of fact,
Okay.
to accompany the motion.
Right. Any discussion on the motion to grant the waiver? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Thank you for coming in.
Thank you. Thank you.
I wasn't thinking that.
Don't jinx us. Joanne, we have a new business on map 7, 39 through 39-9. Please tell us what's going on.
Yes, so this is the one that was a little different because we had found that they had a few things that they needed to change. They were very minor things, and one of them, though, was they're asking for a waiver for the drainage study because they're not really changing anything. The land, it's a land swap, so the land will just remain the same. They're not developing anything. So they did come in with new plans the other day, and Scott did have a chance to review them, and we're all set with this. So if you could take a look tonight. I know you don't normally do this, but this is a very easy one.
Yeah, so I can,
So wait.
We're gonna
Do we
the-
have a complete application?
Yes.
Yeah, so we have
Is there
to-
any regional impact?
No.
And that's the package that we were presented, right? All right, so I make a motion that we accept the application for map 7 lots 39-7-8 and -9 as being complete with no regional impact.
Second.
There is a waiver requested for the drainage study, and that was in the original application request. All right, and so that motion is being made subject to the waiver request for acceptance purposes only.
No,
It's
second it.
You'll second that. All right.
Okay, all those in favor of the motion to find this application complete for review, no regional impact, and the waivers for acceptance purposes only, say aye.
aye.
Opposed? Abstention?
Who seconded that?
Phil?
Bill Devanzer. Motion passes. So now, the staff report, any continue to hear from staff at this time. Scott, were you?
So
Oh, Joanne.
the owner of lot, if I get closer so I can see. The owner of, well, there's two owners. There's the owner of map 739-9 and 739-8. And they would like to move the lot line so that that lot in the center was supposed to be a house lot. It was part of an open space subdivision. But no one ever built on it. And so they would like to split it in the middle, and half of it stay with the current owner and the other half go to the new owner so that he gets a larger lot and the other person gets a smaller lot, but this way no house will be built there. So it will eliminate 39-8 altogether. Now, there's a path that goes through there, like a walking path, that leads to the open space behind. And they had originally proposed to move that walking path to where it says the new line between seven and 9.
We see it.
So it would be a 10-foot walking path. So we told them the process of what they would need to do, and it's quite complicated to remove that because it's part of the open space and all of that. So they came back with a new plan, just leaving it where it is for now. If they ever want to change it, they could always, look to the homeowners association. But I'm kind of thinking when Patty had to contact the abutters, there was no association on file. So it seems to me that it's one of those open space plans that never went forward with recording an association. There's lots of them in town. So therefore, they would have to deal with all of the people in that neighborhood, which we did notify everyone.
So what am I looking at on the table? Is that something new today, or this?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so it's dated October 1st. So it's the same date.
With the revision block 1022.
Okay.
And the only change to the plan,
11
Joanne, is
has a
the
1022.
open space right-of-way stays where it is.
Correct.
And that's the only change.
No, the other thing is
Oh, no, yeah.
the new lot line between the two, and it was because of my comment, so.
It changed from a straight line to a
Yes.
dogleg line.
Yeah, so previously it was at a sharper angle, and our regulations require the property bound to be either 90 degrees with the right-of-way or radial to a radius such as that, which is like 90 degrees at the instantaneous tangent of an arc. And you can be within 10 degrees of it. The new one is about 9 degrees I measured, so it's within the regulations. And then the other thing was the new bound they were proposing was just a rebar, and we require granite with a magnetic disc at the right-of-way. So the new plan has those changes. Like I said, I reviewed those and we found them to meet the regulations now. So my comments were resolved with this.
And there is a new staff
Amendment.
report that was placed on the table.
Right, conservation.
Does anybody have any questions for staff?
And the Conservation Commission had no issues.
And I missed the fact that this waiver was requested, but I do not have any reservations with the waiver request, because it doesn't seem like there's gonna be, it seems less likely for there to be development there now than if the lot were to stay the way it was.
Scott, if the owners on both sides of this proposed new line decided to build something else up in there, would that be concerning for you, since we're not requiring any drainage study?
I mean, I don't think so. I mean, if they built a mansion but that seems a little ridiculous to,
Well-
I guess they could put a barn in or something, or,
Would that?
A large
But
basketball
that's
court.
just a building permit as far as the town goes?
correct, yeah.
Phil?
I think that one property owner that owned the entire property could have also put a barn up there, so I don't think it's really changing anything.
No, I don't, yeah, I mean, they could
Say that
have
again,
built a
Phil?
house with no,
The way it is currently, one person owns the lot.
Right.
All they had to do was do a lot line adjustment. And they could have put a barn in anyway.
But this way you could, but this way you could have 2 barns,
Well,
theoretically.
because
Okay.
right now, there are 3 lots of record.
I understand.
So there's 2 houses, they could add a 3rd house.
Yeah,
It-
with the
With
driveway,
this subdivision,
right.
they're eliminating, or with this
right.
consolidation and adjustment, they're eliminating that. So they could add 2 barns, but they're not adding a house. It's, I mean, reducing the development potential. not-
Yeah,
Okay. When
I
we waive,
understand
when we
what you're
waive these studies, it's
Yeah.
good to have reason and discussion on it.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. Or request to be waived. Anyone else have questions for staff? Seeing none, we'll ask the applicant to come up and make a presentation. So,
You could
you're
pull
all
those
welcome to
chairs
sit at
up.
the table, but if you do decide to speak, we will need your name for the record. You don't
Take
all have
those
to.
chairs out.
Joanne, you have one next to you that's.
No, they got it. They got it.
Hi, good evening. My name is Dan Burke. I'm here with my wife Pat and our neighbors and new friends, Ryan and Nancy Moran.
I'm Ryan Moran. Nancy.
Pat and I bought the old Pepin house back in May, and with it, we bought that second lot, Lot 8. With the idea of keeping it open space, we didn't want a house right there. In speaking with our neighbors, they wanted the same thing, so we decided to split the lot. So that's what we're doing, plain and simple. We're just splitting the lot. There'll be no house on it. I guess in theory, there could be a barn. I don't know. But no house.
Okay.
And I think we've met all the conditions. We did get last Friday a very late report from the staff, and my surveyor came down yesterday. And I can attest I helped dig the 3-foot hole to set the granite post. So we now have a granite post. And
I watched.
Oh, you're a good neighbor.
like State Farm.
Foreman,
Watch the old guy dig the hole.
Hey, I resemble that accusation.
Yeah.
Well, I'm old too, so I can say it.
And,
All right.
And we changed we made the dog leg lot line, and so
Okay.
I think we're all set.
Thank you. Do you have anything else to add, Ryan?
No,
Okay.
thank you.
Want to ask? All right, any questions to the applicants from staff or board members at this time? Boy, nice and quiet. All right.
Yeah.
So you don't have to get up unless we have someone who wants to speak. At this time, I'd like to open the public hearing. Anybody like to speak on this application? Well, you can stay there and you, come on up. You folks don't have to clear away from the table, unfortunately.
Or all 6 of us can be up there.
Unless you're all on the same team, it's okay.
Guess I'm abandoned. My name's John Duclos, D-U-C-L-O-S. I'm here with my wife Dorcas, and we own Lot 11. So we're one lot between this one that's Lot 8 that's being subdivided.
No, lots of them's down the road a ways, I see.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
All caught up?
Well, let's make sure I know where it was, that's all.
Okay. Our only concern was the 10-foot right-of-way to the landlocked, if you will, 17.999 acres of common land. We don't use it often, but the previous owners of that property owned the 2 parcels, and getting onto the lot, especially in the wintertime for sledding with the kids or snowshoeing, became a problem of you trespassing on my property. It's never really been marked well, but there's 2 access points to the common land, and that one is the one that's, say, easily accessible, it's not treed. So my wife and I went down and got the original plan. We had some concerns about the lot line, or for the 10-foot right-of-way. If you look at the plan that was recently submitted, you'll see that the 10-foot right-of-way kind of goes over part of their driveway, the turnaround. See that on the plan?
Yep.
So that's what makes it a little bit weird, for the neighbors to kind of go across their driveway and say, hey, we're on the right-of-way, we're not on your property. So I don't know if it's, there might have been some markers at the circle denoting that at one time, but since the previous owners owned both lots, they felt like they could just move things and not really mark it well for the rest of the residents. It doesn't get used that much. I think a lot of the neighbors on the right side of the road can just go across there, the back of their properties and access it. The ones that are landlocked is pretty much everybody on the left side of the development. And like I said, not too many people use the common land. In summer, it's got a lot of hay. Hay comes ticks. You don't see a lot of that being used. They used to hay it. There was a lot of kids out there playing it sometimes. The winter seems to get the most use. And the lot that they're purchasing, or that they did purchase, Lot 7, it's not really that deep if you look at it. It goes a 10-foot right-of-way to the left side of their outbuilding in the far corner, and kind of jets out into the pre-berm area, if you will. So the area between the berm and their back lot line, if you stand there and you watch them, the full moon or the sun come up or something like that, you're like right in their backyard, right in their back window. It's just a little bit off their back deck, so it appears, kind of ruins the view. So I met the neighbors today. They've been working feverishly and getting the house reworked on the inside and updated. I just met them tonight because we didn't want to bother them. I talked to Ryan the other day to kind of figure out what was going on. So long story short, it would be nice to try and identify the 10-foot right-of-way so more people might use it. And I really have no argument about subdividing Lot 8 between Ryan and the Burks. I think it's a great idea.
Thank you.
Right. Any questions of me?
We don't usually have questions and answers with public comment. We accept your comment and enter it into the record and consider it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak regarding this application? Seeing none, I'm going to close the public hearing. Board members. In the past, have we did subdivisions that had these types of right-of-ways. Recently did one on Tenney Road, if I'm not mistaken. Did we require the applicants to mark the right-of-way to the rear of the property?
You're talking the one at the end of Tenney.
At the Tenney Road.
I don't believe we had any demarcation of the area.
The limits of our responsibility is just to ensure this is properly marked on a plat. The physical clearing's not our, we can't mandate that.
I think he's asking for placards or some kind of markings to show that this is where the right-of-way to the public space is, so that people don't believe they're walking on other person's
Would that
lawns.
not be the responsibility of the association?
Possibly.
It sounds like there isn't
Our
one.
job is to see that it's properly eliminated on a plat, not if it was an offset from a wetland, yes, we mandate placards, but
That is probably the only time we do that, correct? When we have wetland boundaries, we like to make sure that are observed. Joanne, what's your
Like
take?
stop signs and things like that.
Anything else, anything that relates to this request from past practice?
No, not that I've seen.
I mean, Tenney Road is the only one I can think of. Am I missing any other ones? That have open space?
Fieldstone
That's-
has one, but I think, isn't the open space just go to the road?
John King Drive has the same thing too. I think they have open space behind those lots up on John King Drive.
I'm not as familiar with the layout of that one.
Well,
I actually use the open space.
It's the issue with associations. They were all the rage for a while, and they have fallen somewhat out of favor because the documentation doesn't get maintained, there's nobody to supervise it, and they're difficult to manage. And, this is, was the driveway there when we approved the plan? Probably not. So
Yeah, that probably wasn't permitted either
Yeah.
because of how close it was to
Yeah.
the existing lot
Yeah.
line.
So unfortunately, from an enforcement standpoint, I don't know that we have any ability to do anything on this.
Yeah, if the right-of-way is not gonna be changing, and it's gonna be staying where it is, and even I'm looking at this, you know, what was recorded for the development and open space easement, I mean, doesn't clearly state or give direction on who's granted the rights of access. It's more about that open space parcel. So I think that presumably from this language, obviously, there's rights for the property owners, but I think if the right-of-way is not moving, we might be on shaky ground if we were to put
Bill?
additional requirements on it.
Have we seen the original, I mean, this is a drawing of the proposed, but what about the original subdivision plans? Do we have those? We don't,
We do have them. I looked at them back when I reviewed this, but I don't think there was a property bound where the line to be dissolved is.
but there might be something in the notes of that.
It's pretty much this 10-foot right-of-way to open space. I remember it being similar to that in wording. It wasn't like
Does that,
profound in its
does that
its
type
way
of right-of-way
described.
get recorded on deeds when the plan was filed at Hillsborough,
I didn't review the deeds, but, I mean, it can, or they may miss it. It's,
I don't know if the applicants know, but,
The deed.
come on up to the table, sir.
Oh, sure.
The board would have to do that.
yeah, our minute taker uses the microphone, so.
Oh, sure. Dan Berkingham, one of the applicants. I have a bunch of comments, but our deed for that piece of land, lot 7, I keep forgetting the numbers, but whatever our house
That
is
one's
on.
7, yes.
Makes no mention of a right-of-way, and I've checked about half a dozen other deeds around me, and no one mentions that right-of-way in a deed. On the original plan, there's just a tiny little,
Yeah.
there are no notes. There is an arrow with, it says 10-foot ROW to open space, that's the only indication.
Which is all this one says, the
Yeah,
new one.
yeah, we mimicked what was there.
Mhm.
Now, I can tell you in terms of access, we bought the land with full knowledge of this, 10-foot right-of-way. We've not seen anyone use it. Ryan's kids use it once in a while, and they usually walk along the wood line in the grass, which is not technically in that bound. But that 10-foot right-of-way, I know the staff made a comment about the proposed move, it being in the woods, and I respect that, I understand that. But the current right-of-way, the end of it behind the shed that's there is in the pucker brush, full of poison ivy and brambles. There's no way anybody's gonna walk on that. So we just let them walk, in the grassy area along the wooded area to the property line. We're happy to let them use that. We come from a development in Manchester with 135 homes, a whole bunch of kids, and we all, walked wherever we wanted, more or less. And, so we don't have a problem with anyone using that, but I don't think there's any, I know there are no deeded words that talk about that right away.
Okay.
Yeah,
It
it's
just
very-
appears
very
on the
odd.
plan.
Yeah, that's the only place it appears, very odd. Yes. And there is no association, although the original information mentions that, I've done some research, and there was none ever formed. Somebody does hay, one of the neighbors contracts with someone to hay the field, so once a year they hay it. I don't know who does it, but always looks great.
Any
Who gets
questions
the
from
money?
Any questions from Mr. Bork and board members? Thank you for that, sir.
Oh, you're welcome.
This plan is from '89, the original, so things
Would
were
you like to come back up?
different back then.
It was the same ordinance.
John Dukel again, I'd like to
Thank you.
talk, so I figured I'd come back up. We moved in 1991, so we were like the third person up in the 17-lot development. And my understanding of this is the original drawings of the property that all the original owners were given. There's two 10-foot right-of-ways to the 17 acres. And that's necessary because there's 17 lots there, and we all basically own 1.1 acres of that landlocked common space. So it might not be on the deed, but when you think about the development that had to go through the AG's office for approval of the subdivision, there had to be an access for all the owners of the subdivision have access to the open space that we all pay taxes on. And I just didn't want it to be a problem in the future to know where that particular one was, because some people do access it, not often, but it's good that the Burkes know that it exists and we know where it is, so we all just get along.
Okay, that's good.
Okay?
Yep.
Thank you. Oh, yeah, and there was no association up there. We had 30 years of covenants on how to build, where to build, what you can do, what you can't do, and all that. And this kind lady over here said, the original 17 people that are up there, maybe 8 of us really got along well, and we could have, had an association, a coup, if you will. But it's just doesn't make good neighbors, So we lived out the covenants for the 30 years, and now it's, have at it. And I think people that want to move to Goffstown and live in a nice area like that are going to know each other, get along. If they have problems, they deal with it neighbor to neighbor. So I'm looking forward to going back and meeting my new neighbors and having a good time with it.
Sounds good.
Thank you, John.
My observation is that, if we were doing this nowadays, we'd probably have some better notes and have some better language in the easement, but what they're showing here is replicating what was on the approved open space and the access from that 1985 or 89 plan, so I have no issue or no reason to see anything
Well,
changing.
it's not even an easement, from what we can see.
Yeah, it's not an easement, it's just a right of way,
It's
so I
just
don't think.
it's an agreement between neighbors
Yeah.
that that's a strip of
And
land
it's-
to access the back property.
Yeah.
But it does show on the subdivision plan, so it is, I won't say it's binding, because it's probably the wrong word, but at least it is shown.
Yeah.
I wouldn't speak to that, I'm not a real estate attorney. All right, board members, we have to discuss the waiver of the drainage study. Who'd like to just open that discussion?
I have no issue with the waiver, I think because we're consolidating and reducing the number of buildable lots from 3 to 2, because staff has indicated they have no objection to it. We're eliminating a lot of record here, so I think that the potential for development is decreasing and there's less of a need to study the drainage, so I have no issue with the waiver.
Other board members?
I concur.
No, it's time to do the next step.
Okay, I'll make a motion then to grant a waiver for the drainage study.
Second.
Motion by Colleen, seconded by Phil to grant the requested waiver for the drainage study. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion passes. Now we're on to the business of the application is to, are we classifying this as a lot line adjustment? Is that what this is classified as, Joanne?
Yes.
Okay. So there's a business of the lot line adjustment. Any discussion on any of this information was granted tonight, provided tonight?
Joanne, I know you have it in the conditions, recommended conditions of approval, and I assume you've let the applicants know that deed transferring the portion being recorded. That's kind of the important part. The subdivision plan is one thing, but making sure you get that deed recorded. So that is going to be a condition here to legally document the transfer of that land.
Otherwise, it's not really transferred until the deed is produced and recorded.
If no one has anything else, then with the findings of fact that
Colleen, before you make your
Yeah.
motion, I would just like to put on the record that I'm agreeing to go forward with revised plans submitted tonight because the intent of the lot line adjustment, which is fairly simple, has remained the same even though there's a change. And the change has accommodated issues that have been communicated by staff and in connection with the butters. And there is an agreement by staff Additionally, the applicant received word of the issues before the meeting and has complied with conditions that previously were set. So this is a rare exception to the general rule that we will not deal with plans submitted on for review on the date of the hearing. So you can go ahead and make your motion, but the only reason I would consider it is because of all those things.
Okay. And so given what Barbara stated, I would say then that with findings of fact that the subdivision lot line adjustment meets the requirements of the zoning ordinance and development regulations, I'd recommend approval with conditions as noted in the staff memorandum on their 5 conditions. That's my motion.
Second.
So Colleen's made the motion to approve the lot line adjustment with conditions 1 through 5. Number 6 is not a condition. Brian has seconded it. Any discussion on the motion? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor of the motion to approve the lot line adjustment, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstention? Motion passes. Folks are all set. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you. May I just ask what those 5 conditions are?
Staff will provide you with a copy of them. Were they provided with them prior to tonight's meeting?
Here, David.
No, because we just did them today. I have it on here if he wants this copy.
They're all just
Standard
legal things,
administrative
like
standard.
deeds and monuments and,
So those need to be, well, I guess the 6-month thing doesn't, but the other ones, we need the written certification, the AutoCAD file, and the PDF prior to the chairman signing the plans.
Sure. I have, my surveyor gave me a bunch of stuff, you know, the 10 copies or what, you know, all of that's the Mylars and
She already did that.
you can go over all that with staff during business hours with staff.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll stop.
Good night.
We'll stop and see you.
Okay.
Which-
Oh, it's always falling.
Oh, there you go.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you all.
Good night, all.
Thank you. Good night.
Is there anything that we did not handle tonight that wanted to be handled?
So, I just had a question. Has anyone looked at the draft development reg yet?
No.
No.
Okay, so we have a meeting on November 7th, which is a workshop.
Excuse me, Joanne. Folks? Folks?
Just shut the door. They're
No, they should take their comments.
Hey guys, we're gonna finish our meeting.
Thank you, Brian. Who was speaking that I interrupted?
Me.
Go ahead.
We have a workshop meeting on November 7th, and it's basically more for the zoning changes. I don't want to complicate that meeting with trying to do the development regs. So just let me know when you're ready, and we'll hold another workshop to go over them.
I don't see the zoning changes as being usually complicated, so having taken a quick look at what you sent out this afternoon, we'll talk about it tomorrow and bring it to the meeting for the workshop. So, but if people could look at the development regs in general, so you've got a feel, because they're different. I mean, they've been rewritten, so you can't compare apples to oranges, so it's going to be difficult to go through. Do you have and I'll just say that, I don't see the zoning amendments taking a huge
Most of
amount of
them.
time.
I'd say 75% of them are a result of changes up at the State House.
Right, the zoning changes,
Yeah.
yeah. And some of them are really straightforward, there's nothing. Okay. So we should try to talk about them a little, so. I hope.
Yeah, I think that document will take more than one meeting to discuss.
Right, so even if we
So we'll
just
start
talk about it
that.
for half an hour in
Yeah.
general, to come back and people
So-
can decide.
So
if
it
they
just
have to
opens
hear-
the conversation if nothing else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you could bring it with you
Okay.
and you don't need to bring the development regulations unless you want to refer to something, but
We're not gonna discuss changing development regulations, that's what you're saying?
no,
Changes to the development regulations
we could,
that night.
we can do it for maybe 30 minutes or so.
We'll open it up, but are you saying we don't need to bring the current development regulations?
Unless you want to
Okay,
refer
we're just
to
gonna talk
something.
about the new,
But I would suggest that you bring your zoning ordinance. If you can find it.
Sure.
normally I've got it here, tonight I don't know, it's my one night.
Take mine.
Like planning
I
that.
lug it here every week and never look at it.
I
You might as well look at it.
I always lug it, today I did.
And so we only have one regular meeting in November, which is the 14th, and currently we have the Lever Community Center. Tomorrow's the deadline, so you may or may not get any other applications, I don't know. Things are definitely slowing down. But I do have meetings with a few people, so there are definitely other projects that will be coming in at some point.
All right. Joey, I want to ask you a question, but I want a yes or no answer. I do not want to discuss the matter. We saw a yield plan recently at a meeting. Has that applicant been back with you at this time?
Yeah, we've been
Okay, that's
having
all I need to know.
discussions.
Thank you. Just want to know if that was continuing.
Yeah.
Okay, anybody else have any business for this board?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Bill's made a motion to adjourn, Brian has seconded. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion passes.